Axes seem like the highest potential damage output. If you're totally surrounded, it does insane damage in total. Definitely. It's one of those funny things where, yeah, so a lot of people make the argument that because you should never be surrounded in this game, like it's poor play, it's bad, but it's so much fun to just cleave your way through crowds of enemies. And it definitely, with certain deity combos and stuff, especially something like McLeb, where killing off all the little popcorn enemies is going to bump up your health as you continue the fight. Oh, this is a bad place to fight bees. No corridors. I'm going to keep running back and hope that we just get 2 or 3 next to us. Okay. That should be fine. And then we'll quickly take out. We even took one out with our headbutt as we came down the stairs there, which you love to see. Yef and a Baraki can jump in and out of groups, which is fun. That is really cool, yeah. Jump right into the middle of weaker enemies, or like especially weak health enemies that have really high damage output, like Hellions. I think I also read a while back, somebody was talking about with Uskaya, if you have an axe, the cleave damage just allows you to gain ridiculous amounts of piety super quickly with all the damage output that you're dealing. So it's a riskier playstyle, but it's supposedly quite fun, so definitely interests me in that regard. And this is a pretty stacked store. Holy cow. Unfortunately, we cannot wear that helmet of Seeing Visible, otherwise that would probably make my list. But I'm going to mark the plate armor of cold resistance, because that's pretty solid. And I'm definitely going to think about even just buying these boots of running outright. A +2 pair of boots is pretty schwanky. And we haven't cursed our boots yet, so that does work out for us. I think I'm going to do it. It's all of our money down the drain. But gives us a nice boost to our AC here, and also gives us the ability to just run away from a lot of enemies, which in this game is a beautiful thing indeed. Like even here we could run away. Separate these two, because we're almost as fast as the snake. Allows the snake to keep pace with us while the draining eye gets left behind, separating these fights a bit. And I guess that can be used in general when you have enemies of 2 different speeds. That would be pretty handy. Just making sure I didn't miss anything on that stack there. But things are going pretty awesome. We did find our entrance to Orcs. Still no lair, which is pretty wacky for this point. Oh, curious if that's our lair entrance. Bunch of dangled vampire mosquitoes. Seems like the enemies that we may find there, but no guarantees. Let's take a peek. Oops. Should not walk towards a centaur that's firing arrows at us, but that's much better. Always important to duck around the corners when ranged enemies start hitting you. Don't just charge headlong into them. That's the dangers of getting too far into the tab mentality. So let's pace ourselves here, purposely try and slow down my tabbing a bit, if just so that I kind of mentally reconfigure there. In fact, we want to be a little bit careful here. I'm actually going to take out this Orc Priest first. So we can always run away from the bear, no problem. There we have it. Not too shabby whatsoever. It's kind of cheap with the boots of running and a polearm. We're actually able, against any normal speed enemies, to run away until we gain an extra space and then poke them from afar and then keep running, which is pretty solid. Oh, there's a lair entrance. I probably even walked by it and just totally forgot or didn't notice. Whoops. But that is good, because I didn't want to head down into D11 quite yet. I was hoping after this floor here that we might start to dip our toes into there a bit. We're just breezing on through this game so far. I was about to say something about completing it fast, but I should know better than to jinx myself. I'm pretty sure I lost my first Hill Orc when I, right after saying something along the lines of, oh, the next time we play Hill Orc, after we get through this win with every species thing. So that kind of hubris. None of that today. But are Vinestalkers the fastest race naturally? I'm not too sure, because I thought off the top of my head that it would be Felids, the cats. But I could be wrong there, because it's also tough where Spriggans fit in there. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. I don't play too many of those fast races, because they do often require a lot of tedious optimal play where you're running away from things constantly, which can be fun every once in a while, but especially when I'm in school and just kind of playing this in the background to pass time, I really enjoy having a brainless tabbing run that I don't have to think about quite that much. But we'll definitely be getting a good amount of experience with each of those races when we come across them in this series, I'm sure. Especially Felids, I'm worried about how many attempts that combo may take. Hope to get really lucky, at the very least. Okay, lair so far is no problem. Those spiny toads and the Komodo dragons I often see as a really solid kind of benchmark for your run when you run into them in the early lair here, because they are some of the tougher enemies that you find until you get to the later parts of the branch. So it's pretty important that we're able to take them out without too much trouble. Blink toads are a pain in the butt. Slightly less painful when you have a reach weapon, because you don't have to wait quite as long for them to get in range, but still just prolonging the inevitable. Blink frogs. There we go, layer 1 done in a breeze. Let's get set to head down. Do a quick little stretch here. In fact, looking at my inventory, this run has been going so smoothly that I haven't been noticing what I've been picking up or anything. So we really need to get through some identification here and figure out what some of this crap is. So I'm going to start with the potions here. I'd really like to get haste potions. Not quite. Magic potion, not quite useful. Do another one there. Hey, potion of haste. Just one of them so far, but that is a nice panic button against a very scary enemy. And then we'll now switch to getting some of these scrolls identified. Perfect. Just read IDing these two really huge stacks because we have so many of them that shouldn't be anything too valuable, I say, but it's actually enchant armor. We have 7 of those. Holy cow. That's awesome for this early in the game. It's tempting to throw it on something that we have cursed, hey? We're now getting to the point in the game where I'm starting to expect we might find a better pair of gloves, so I just don't want to put it on this. But I kind of like this armor for now. We'll pop one more AC onto that armor piece. It's not the end of the world if we have to switch out anyway, because we have those 6 scrolls. Jeez, awesome. We'll also definitely put on this +6 ring of strength here. We'll drop our old flail because we don't need to lug that thing around anymore. Same with the rocks. Might as well put on this amulet of magic regeneration, even though that's completely useless for us at this point here. And with that, I think we're a bit more set. The only other thing I will quickly peek into here is it's about time, now that our pole arms is up to min delay for our trident, and our shields are actually almost up to the relevant skill cap, I guess. I was going to say min delay, but that doesn't make sense for a shield. But almost up to the relevant skill cap as well, so we should really start focusing in other things. In my mind, it's probably going to be throwing or evocations. And I'm leaning more towards throwing right now. We have a few javelins already, and if we happen to find the shoals branch as we make our way on through layer here, that'll really solidify this option, as that guarantees a decent number of javelins moving forward. But we'll do that with the caveat that evocations will also be dipped into, especially if we find another strong evocable item besides the tin of tremor stones here. Okay, with that out of the way, I think we are looking pretty solid to head on down. Keep exploring the lair here. hopefully not run into anything too scary. Ooh, a Ring of Protection is another sweet pickup, bringing us up to 25 AC. Pretty solid for this point in the game. And wow, we did also just pick up another evocable item right after talking about it. Well, we haven't put any experience into throwing yet. You know, the run's pretty strong. And because we're just doing a 3-run game and spellcasting isn't really an option, we will have a lot of experience points to kind of throw around here. That's why I didn't feel too badly about switching our weapon types as well. So in that mentality, I think I'm also just going to turn on evocations, bring it up to at least 10. It will bring up throwing to at least 12 or so. And we'll just let those build up in the background here. Still relying on the kind of skills we already have in this trident to make our way through the first part of the game here. And an 8-headed Hydra is definitely one of our toughest opponents so far. We're ways from stairs, but we do have the boots of running and we're quite fast. Tempted to do something like this. Test out my running strategy that I was mentioning. It's a bit scarier here because I want to always be able to get the space if need be. This is super cheesy, but awesome as well. So I was completely prepared to just throw in a bunch of consumable items, throw out a bunch of our wand charges, hope that something happened, but that strategy works pretty incredibly. Ring of Fire Resistance is also pretty solid if we find ourselves running into a volcano or something of the ilk. And a whole bunch of spiders. Is this just a special little vault, or is this indicative of our S branch here? I guess we'll find out right away. Cabbing through all those plain old adders, that's not too sketchy. Mostly just scared of the spiny toad and bigger snake there. Ooh, and a black mamba. Very scary. Here's an enemy we cannot outrun, even with our boots of running here. But let's drag these yaks back to areas we've explored. Don't want to find myself getting surrounded here or in too much trouble for sure. And not too shabby. What I should do here, actually, so I have my boots of running. Those gotta be cursed. So we'll definitely curse those to us, and we're getting pretty close to running a full cursed setup here in terms of our apparel. Just have jewelry and armor left over. I'm debating if I want to pop any of these rings on permanently. Maybe this AC ring, and we can keep one as an auxiliary resistance ring for now. Don't know if we'll need resist poison anytime soon here. I think we will curse this Ring of Protection, and because we have a decent number of remove curse scrolls, I'm going to temporarily curse my armor as well. We're going to try and really max out the advantages that we're gaining from our god there. That should make us pretty powerful for the time being. Pretty stacked armor score with that bonus there. That is pretty sweet. Keep it going. Almost done layer 2 here. Whoops. Always kind of forget to take these evocable items off of our pickup list after we pick them up, or pick up one of them. Simplifies our inventory management issues for the future. It's definitely something I need every ounce of, because it gets real bad. And, you know, we'll even probably throw out this identify scroll right now and get magic mapping scrolls identified, which is definitely something I normally needed a bit more, but fortunately with Ashen'Zari, we're always told where time portals are, so we might not end up using those, or at least we don't have an obvious use case for those available. Ooh. Gonna be petrified here. Not great, but we should be able to survive a few turns with a basilisk. Well, that's fun. Hydra coming in from the rear as well. Hit level 12 at the very least, and this one did have less heads at the very least. Oh, there was also water moccasin. Right, yes, just 5 heads on this bad boy. It's a walk in the park. So we'll just fight that one toe to toe. We'll keep it going, not too shabby. Ring of Flight. It's always a toss-up whether I'll end up keeping my evocable flight items around or just rely on potions of flight, because that's another usable consumable where you don't really need them that often. There are some specific kind of edge case scenarios where they really come in handy. I guess if you're going extended, there are definitely some places where you really want some form of evocable flying, or semi-permanent flying at the very least. This is going too smoothly. It makes me very worried for the future here, because I haven't had to think too much about what I was doing here. That means I'm gonna be surprised by enemies and surrounded, and I'll be sitting there one health away, or one hit away from death, saying there's nothing I could do, man. There's nothing I could do, dude. Another spellbook that we probably won't use, but it's nice to read. And even on that note, we've already found the spellbook, but I'm going to read it again because it's a good book. Might enjoy a reread, get some new inspiration, see it in a new perspective. And we're almost done layer 3 already. Holy cow, just blowing through this so far. It's almost embarrassing how poorly my very first streamed run of DCSS went, because I played a Minotaur fighter for my very first run of the game, and we did not do very well. Oh wow, and we popped out right next to the timed gate here also, which is pretty solid. Let's peek our head in, see what's guarding it. Bit scary here. Komodo dragons deal a surprising amount of damage. They're one of those enemies that I constantly underestimate because there's so many runs where I just tab through them and I don't think about it. But a couple of nasty hits will really shake you down to the bones there. And I'm going to be smart about this, or at least slightly smarter than usual, and we're going to remember to drop stuff outside of the timed portal just so we can for sure grab all the loot that's available inside, bring it all home with us. I'm also probably going to put on this ring of ice right away. Give us just a bit of extra protection here, and we'll start our way through. These like cave setups for the ice levels aren't too scary for the most part. Yes, letting myself get completely surrounded by polar bears was probably a bad idea, but we weren't punished for it, so couldn't have been that bad, right? But fortunately, yeah, this is one of the easier setups in my mind, at least. This is usually the toughest part, is dealing with the statue buddies. But I'm gonna first try and just use throwing and see how this goes. Back in the day, I'd just do this for a little bit and then pop around the corner and heal up while the statue was forced or unable to heal itself, but we learned recently that that is no longer the case. So let's not embarrassingly spend too much time doing that, shall we? And instead, just keep in it. If things got too bad there, we could have just taken one step out and taken out the ice beast fairly quickly with our trident, so not too scary. And 2 polar bears we should be able to take. If we find ourselves surrounded by 3, we should potentially find a new place to fight, but things are going okay now. This is a much better corridor where we're actually able to bring it down onto 1v1 combat. And no problems whatsoever. We've killed a whole lot of polar bears already this game. That ice giant or frost giant is a bit scarier. Let's see here. Lots of wand of flames, but these are pretty crappy. Yeah, there, I guess. Damage 2d7, not great. But it will soften stuff up. Acid wand is probably going to be our better bet there. I'd like to take this crowd downwards, though, to that corridor. This lovely corridor we found. Beautiful. And take a look, still out of range of the acid wand, but we can start with a javelin. Not a great start there. Okay, acid wand. Don't think it did too much, didn't do its acid effect to full efficacy there, unfortunately. But we'll give it one more go. And there we go, we got the AC reduction, but we also just got slammed by that buddy. How do I want to do this? Because now is about the time where we really want to decide if we want to run away or if it's time to commit to the fight and go balls to the wall to defeat this frost giant buddy. We should be able to take them out. They have a lot of health, but the Bolt of Cold is scarier than just being hit by them. So we'd need to close the gap without getting hit too many times, which is not grand. Let's see. Okay, I took one step there, hoping or seeing if the yak stepped out in front. Because if we got a body blocker enemy, then this would be a lot more of a tenable situation for us. But nothing is too scary yet. Potions of Lig. Probably not a great idea at this point. We have a lot of heal wounds if need be. I'm gonna chug a potion of might here. I'm gonna start throwing some javelins at our frost giant buddy. Oh, and there we go. We got them into the corridor. We got our giant fighting us first. Beautiful. Take them out in a couple hits there. +1 battle axe of freezing. Normally it'd be something I might at least eyeball a little bit, but nothing but this trident will satisfy me anymore because we got a beautiful artifact early on here. It's especially nice because the fragile ego on this trident is especially fitting of the Ashen Zari run. I think I can use a potion of flight here. I never remember which of these are secret treasure holes and which are dead ends. This one looks like a dead end, unfortunately, which is no good. Let's not drown ourselves over deep water, shall we? But I will take a quick peek up here. Maybe it's just a river. I'm always suspicious of stuff like that. It's like how you have to check behind every single waterfall in video games because it's just a known fact that that's where you hide treasure. We all know that. Well, I think we'll sprint over to the end here because Auto Explorer did take us away before I could get a good peek at our treasures. Unfortunately, all the polearms are two-handed, so probably not going to be of interest to us here. But, oh, I see, we could use flying here to just shortcut. That's a cool little mechanic. Well, back out we go. Won't worry about it too much, even if we missed a little bit of stuff there. Not the end of the world. We'll keep it moving. Wouldn't mind finding a couple of nice artifact rings. Right now we've kind of just cursed everything to get what bonuses we can, but only the trident is really tried and true. This might be something we use for the rest of this 3-rune game. Definitely want to take out the torpor snail here as soon as possible. Get that slow effect finished, and then even though we're not using axes, I'm going to let myself get surrounded because I'm pretty sure we can take this fight. And we can. Stupid, maybe. Shouldn't do stuff just because you can in this game. But as long as it turns out, I'm not complaining. I guess it's being selectively stupid. As long as we're stupid in situations where it shouldn't be punished too much at the very least. Wow, look at that yak horde. This is one where I am going to run away just a bit. Oh, I'm going down explored territory though. Dang it. I didn't want to get surrounded by 9 yaks. That seemed like a death sentence. Instead, we're just going to get surrounded by 7 here? 5. Bad at math for whatever reason. It's also not 9 of them, it's only 8. I really do have bad brain today for whatever reason. Maybe I got a horrible sleep. I definitely didn't drink a coffee today, but no caffeine shouldn't be an excuse to completely shut down my functionality as a thinking, breathing human being. I will keep going here through Lair 4. My brain dead disposition at least doesn't seem to be negatively impacting our gameplay that much because this run is going pretty solid. Maybe it's just extremely lucky. Maybe I've entered some kind of flow state where my stupidity has given me extra DCSS power. Who knows? It's one of the great mysteries of the world, really. And that looks like swamp there, so that means no shoals, unfortunately. Dang it, I had to think about it for a second, but Snake and Swamp does confirm that we will not be seeing a shoals this game, which means not as many javelins as I would like, but still probably enough to warrant a bit of training here, and then we might just lean a bit heavier into the evocation side of things, overthrowing at some point. Okay, let's turn off armor for the time being. It's hit a pretty solid state, and I think we can just kind of focus on everything else for the time being. Wow, Shields is about to hit the cap as well. That's awesome. Down into Lair 5 already. It's tempting. We might end up just going all the way down to Lair 6. Normally after clearing this floor, we'd maybe take a peek and then probably go off into one of the branches, but I'm feeling way more overconfident than I should. Ready to do truly stupid things. Being a bit careful here because these acid drakes are a pain in the butt. Again, thanks to our boots of running, we're not in too much danger most of these fights because as long as they're slower than us, we can just run away. Just have to remember early enough as well that we don't find ourselves at the point of no return where we're just burning consumables like mad. Wow. Artifact boots. Let's take a peek at those. I mean, I don't know if I'll switch off, especially just RF. I probably won't switch off. I get excited anytime I see these artifact boots because I really like the image art. Green's my color. But probably not going to be worth switching to. We'll stick to our boots of running for now. I always really like the look of these artifact greatswords as well, but almost never get the opportunity to use them. Only really when I play Formicids do I find myself going two-handed route, with the exception of, I guess, a really strong early game find. It kind of sets the tone. Or flavor. Always important to keep flavor in mind. It's funny, seeing that there's a volcano on this floor finally clicked in my brain that we never took off our ring of ice, so it's very fortunate we didn't run into any fire enemies because we were sitting without our resistance, at least not a vulnerability, but not ideal. Switch to our strength ring, get through this first round of enemies without too much ado here, and then we'll head towards that volcano. I think we do it up here, right? Perfect. And okay, this is a pretty lucky combo just in the terms of getting both the ice caverns and the volcano here and also having the resistances necessary available. So let's try not to squander this. We'll again drop some of the stuff that we don't need to be carrying with us at all times here. Drop those stones again. What I should do is hit backslash here, scroll down, take stones off of auto pickup, just so I never have to do that again. But now we'll pop in. We have 2 pips of fire resistance, so I'm hoping that will be a pretty solid advantage to us here. But we shall see. Never really know. These time portals can be very scary, for sure. And actually, I'm pretty sure that, again, that first run we had, that first Minotaur run, died to a volcano, so this is Mifi getting some real vengeance, some redemption chance at glory here. Perfect. Going fairly smoothly so far. An ugly thing could be a pretty scary enemy to find at this point in the game, but a bit of a breeze for us at the very least. I think like 3 out of 4 of my deaths are from time portal greed. Definitely, yeah. Totally fair. No, and I don't know about you, Cassiopeia, but in my case, it's definitely lots of the time it's me going into a portal that I'm not prepared for, but I'm also very subject to finding myself pushing too hard to get to the portal in the first place. Just making bad decisions, because something about the feeling of missing a time portal just kills me inside. So do everything in my power to at least make it in the portal, even if it's at the expense of a run that we put hours of work into, right? Totally worth it. But that was a pretty solid little volcano here. Homo is strong with this one. Hop out as well. Oh, I forgot to pick up my stuff coming out of the volcano. We'll keep it going. It's still going too smoothly. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here. I keep it almost forcing it, I guess, when I make all the silly decisions that I have, getting surrounded by herds of yaks, but they're not going to punish me, and I will take it. It also looks like we got one of the vault exits here. I'm most familiar with the elephant keep or whatever. I don't know what any of the actual official names are for a lot of these vault endings. Oops, let's reach past the mushroom, get some free hits in on this Hydra. Beautiful. It is definitely kind of nice to, for once, not be worried about Hydras. It's usually one of the premier thoughts in my mind is coming up with some solution to that. But tridents are definitely a nice weapon for that. Kind of adding to this whole easy breezy tab fest that we've gone away with so far. And it's probably about time we start identifying a couple more things here. I'm definitely often find myself forgetting to do so, but it's always good to keep our options open here, or at least see what options we have available at the very least. We'll also switch back to the strength ring now that we're out of the volcano. And I'm probably going to drop the wand of flame just to save some space and get that inventory freed up. And much like we were guessing earlier, I think we are going to be able to just try our hand at clearing this layer 6 vault right now. We should be good enough to make it through. At the very least, we can use our boots of running to just hightail the heck out of here. Michael, it's a yak? How much could it hit for? $10? And let's see. So I'm pretty sure they're just elephants in here, right? And all of these statues come to life at some point. That sounds familiar to me, now that I think about it. Yeah, when we kill this anaconda, or when we get through here. Yeah, we heard a bunch of distant trumpeting, alright. So we'll pop out, and the dire elephants here are a bit scarier than the regular ones, but one-on-one should be no problem whatsoever for this character. Okay, so we can see which of the two statues came to life there. One of the ones out here, two of the ones out here. Perfect. And let's maybe clear through this way a bit as well. Oh wow, that last one went a bit tougher for us. Rolled a bit worse for sure. Definitely good to keep that in mind as something to potentially look out for here. Dire elephants can take us out. Ooh, and 2 dire elephants are then very scary for us. So let's do our little runaway and poke dance. Extremely effective as long as I don't accidentally back myself into a corner like an idiot, which I'm managing to avoid so far, so hurrah. Oh, kind of did it there a little bit. Not a corner quite, but had to take a bit of damage for no reason. And there we go. All the dire elephants done. So that is solid, and a +1 crystal plate armor at the end here as well. Ooh, that is definitely pretty tempting. We also have already found a whole lot of enchant armor scrolls, so this is very likely to hit +14 if we do end up switching to it. Definitely something to keep in mind. We also have pretty high armor skill, so it's not like we'll be punished too much or anything. Dum. Well, that's all of Lair done already. Kind of just breezed through that one without even thinking about it. And yeah, now all the usual kind of steps in the order that I would normally want to go in have been kind of thrown out the window, because we could almost go anywhere with this character and do all right. Swamp and Snake might be a little bit scary just without resist poison. We made it through Snake just fine in a previous run without our poison, but Swamp was a bit rougher, unfortunately. Yeah, do you know what? We should do our due diligence, play it a bit safer here, go with our more usual routine. So I think I will head back out to the dungeon a little bit. Just explore a couple more floors. I guess I don't have Seen Visible, so Unseen Horrors might be a bit of the pain in the butt for us. Dum-de-dum. Where to go? You know what? I'm gonna, head out to the dungeon here. We'll just explore down to the end of D11 at the very least. Maybe even poke our head into Orc, see if we can't find anything fun there. Might as well. Ooh, a Bailey here. Fortunately, on our last character, we had to completely abandon a Bailey, which hurt me deeply. So hopefully, on this character, we can do a bit better. Let's make our way there as quickly as possible. Being back out to D11 at this point should be a breeze for the most part. Relative, of course. A bunch of Heller monkeys. And a bunch of just hobgoblins. Interesting. Let's double check Erica here. Not too scary against us. The slow would be a bit painful, but fortunately we can't be confused. Right, yeah. Everything has really been just full, like, flow state blur for me going through Lair. I didn't realize we were at full piety with Ashinzari, so we actually have complete clarity, which is a beautiful little ego to have. Just in terms of saving us a whole lot of trouble with confusion monsters. Oops, let's back up here a little bit. Oh geez, everyone's crowding in. Let's not miss our timed gate just because we're getting distracted. We will, however, drop a bunch of crap. Use our identify scrolls first to open up that slot, and then we can drop anything that we don't actively need right now. So we can ensure we can snatch up all the loot from this place. What else should we drop? Brand weapon and the enchants. That should be good. Let's head on in. It's already looking like a bit better of a setup for us, especially playing with a polearm character ourselves. We can fight toe-to-toe with all of these buddies, no problem. I'm so used to, so often when I find myself in this specific Bailey setup, I just have to attract monsters and then run all the way back to where you're unhittable by them and just throw like rocks or poison darts one by one, slowly but surely. This is a bit more straightforward, fortunately. Fighting our way through. And we're in. Wow. Yeah, I'm used to that outside trip probably taking longer than the rest of this exploration put together. Because now that we're here, this inside part, I might do that usual strategy because there's no reason for us to risk ourselves too much. I guess maybe we can stand here where we can only get hit by one of them. This isn't too shabby. Oh, let's not get carried away though. tab will bring us into dangerous situations if we're not careful. There we go. Step out to heal up. Fortunately got most of our health back before any enemies popped out as well. And geez Louise, finding a whole bunch of good stuff in these early time portals as well. I think I'll grab this plate armor of willpower just in case we don't find ourselves with another great source of that moving forward. Another helmet of seeing visible is sad to see, because unfortunately again we're not able to use that ourselves, but would sure be nice. I'm going to control F period just to see if there was anything that I missed on the floor in here, especially in that center point, because we could fly in if we need to, but looks like we're all good, so we'll pop on out of here, pick up these scrolls again, and it's back on the road for Mifi. Just trucking along. I'm still carrying around potions of degeneration even. Let's drop those. We'll even drop this potion of mutation just to save us the trouble in the future. And keep burning any identify scrolls that we find as soon as we find them here. So if you start rolling and I close the door, what happens? Cool, that's good to know. So as long as we hang out near the door, even if the boulder beetle teleports away and starts rolling at us again, it should be no problem whatsoever. Very cool. And tap, 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 all the way through. Now that we're back in the corridors of the dungeon, it seems too easy to run into these yak herds. Just a breeze. That's not quite as breezy. A bit scarier there for sure. Let's close the door so that we're not dealing with rocks being tossed at us, but once we're in combat, should be fine against the Cyclops even. And holy moly. No problems whatsoever here. Just burning through all the uniques we've found so far. We've been pretty lucky in terms of which uniques we've run into. Nothing too frightening off the bat here. Which is definitely not always the case. And I guess we haven't started exploring down into the branches, and that is often where we start really running into a lot of those bad boys, so maybe I'm speaking a little too soon at this point in time. However, from this shop that we ran across, I think I will just snap up one of these heal wounds potions, because it's always handy to have a surplus of those in our back pocket here. Cancellation is kind of tempting, actually. It both identifies it and might come in handy for getting rid of some really, truly awful status effects in the future. So let's pick up all those bad boys and we'll keep it moving. Also a lot of curing potions there if we need those in the future. Good thing to keep in mind. You know what? Should really close the door and let everyone come to us here. You can also hear my doggo shaking outside the door, so I'm going to quickly let her in here. Oh, you want her? Oh, okay. Turns out it was actually my partner getting the dog some food, so all good for now, and I'll let her in after she's done eating. So that's D11 done, no problems whatsoever here. So yeah, maybe we're lucky. Dog will want to say hello this time. I swear my dog has complete awareness of cameras specifically. Anytime she's doing something really cute and you whip out a phone or any kind of camera, she instantly stops doing it. Takes after me like that, I guess. There's a long phase for me where I absolutely hated getting my picture taken. Just an entire series of photos from my junior high days where almost every single one I have something held up in front of my face. Favorite of which was probably, I think it was a New Year's party that I was at with my friends, and we had a giant battle royale pillow fight. Last one standing kind of deal. And I was in the final two there, and so there's a photo of me slamming one pillow down with one hand and covering my face with a second pillow. One of my proudest moments as a young, dumb teenager. Let's not get completely surrounded here. Because our one advantage is that with our Boots of Running, we can always just get out of here as long as there's a path of opportunity. So let's never allow ourselves to get surrounded here. Even as we pretty much are able to, again, tap our way through most of Orc here so far. Which is pretty nice. And we'll even poke down into Orc 2, but I'm not dead set on clearing this floor at this point. No real need to, and Orc priests or high priests, I should say, and sorcerers get real scary when they start bringing in a whole bunch of demons, so I'm going to be ready to use the aforementioned Boots of Running to just hightail it out of here at the first sign of real danger.